cool.
All right.
We're up, bro. But yeah, so fucking investments. I just opened a mutual fund for the first time.
Okay.
Which I like meant to do when I was like 15.
Yeah.
Like because my dad would always tell me about investments, and I was like, I need to do that. Like, I have a couple $1,000s when I was like, that age, because I worked like from when I was like 13, so I had some money saved up. I just ended up spending it all. Never opened it, and I was like, fuck, because like, I mean, that money would have like doubled by now, but like, better late than never. It's never too late to like get started. Like, I just started it with a couple $1,000s, and I'm like, cool. Like, I check it every once in a while, but I kind of just park it there to like forget about it, because if I keep it in my account, I'm just gonna spend it like 1,000% of the time. Like, I'm gonna just spend down. So I kind of am treating that like mutual index fund as like just kind of like a place to get it out of my sight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to. What I always think when I have that idea, you have money in your pocket. My mom used to tell me, "Oh, don't let it burn a hole in your pocket," and that rings in my mind all the time when I have, I don't know, I don't like to say extra money, because that's not. I think anything that you earn is yours. I mean, it's not necessarily extra.
Yeah, money's
but
just
like,
money.
If it's not going immediately into your bills or anything you have to spend on, I guess investing would be the smartest way to go. Instead of going out to the store and buying a bunch of decorations, like I did last weekend.
Yeah, we just did that too, though. It's like sometimes it is like you just kind of get like we just bought a bunch of lights. It's like I didn't really want to spend the money. It's like we bought like 300 something lights or something, but
dope.
Now it looks nice, and it's like just day to day, feel a little bit more Christmassy, like this time of year.
Do you guys do a tree?
Yeah, we have a little tree in there.
Oh, okay.
It's like tiny. Didn't even notice it. It's tiny.
Nah, that's me.
We got it at Walmart for like $30.
Nice.
And we were like, oh, we'll use this year. And then we left it outside all year, and it thrived outside. And we were like, I guess we'll use it this year. So we kind of just gonna keep going until it like.
Oh, that's awesome!
Bites the dust.
It's a real tree. That's great.
Yeah, it's like a little shrub that we just got. Okay. It was like sitting outside of Walmart, looking all sad, and we were like, let's take that one. It's working pretty good. But we can't get like a big one because we have 2 cats, and they're like, I'm confident that they would just go insane with that, and there'd be like bristles all over the place. And
cats are pretty mischievous.
Oh yeah, yeah, especially Oat, because we have 2. We have Oat and Chai, and Oat is the one that's like, she's always opening this cupboard here. That's why there's weights in front of it, because she just like at 3 a.m. will be like bang, 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 bang.
I love that.
Yeah, fucking annoying. But yeah, it feels kind of good to start like investment a little bit, because I'm like, okay, it's out of the way.
Yeah.
And once I start work again, I'm gonna make a point to be like, all right, I'm gonna take like whatever, like get paid bi-weekly, like take like $100 just every 2 weeks, just put it in there like diligently, because it just exponential scaling.
Right. Because
otherwise it's like it's just gonna sit there and do its little thing, which is good, but like if you add it like compounds, which is.
So it would be it's like an index fund of a sense.
Yeah, a mutual. Okay. I think a mutual and an index fund are the same thing. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just basically like 70% stocks, 30% bonds.
Okay.
And it's like not active trading. You're not like day trading. You're not like, oh, like I'm locked in right now. It's really like a place to put your money, and it just appreciates. Like, I think every 7 years your money doubles. That's kind of how it just goes.
Yeah.
Because it's super diversified. So it doesn't, as long as like there's no stock market crash, it kind of just appreciates, which is great.
That's safe.
Yeah. I used Vanguard, which is just like a
Dude, that's crazy that you say that. I was on Vanguard last night. I'm looking at the index. I dude, swear to you, I can't make this up.
That's so funny.
I'm looking at the same thing. Like, what you don't have to pay into monthly, or like it's less maintenance for you. And then like you said, it's safer. It's not a risky investment at all.
I think to open the one I did, you need like $3,000 minimum.
Yeah.
And it's a mutual fund through Vanguard. And then I thought that was it. But then my dad was like, oh, make sure you get like a Wellington fund. And I was like, well, what the fuck is that? And he was like, it's a type of mutual fund. I was like, okay, so just think beef Wellington when you open it. That's what I do. I just think
the
beef Wellington. Yeah. And that's like just diversified like stocks in the United States and bonds.
Yeah.
But there's also like global Wellingtons. And he was like, once you're like playing with more money, like once you have like 10 or 20 grand in there, which I definitely don't, he was like, then you can like invest in some global stocks because that will like diversify it even more. I've been thinking about like putting $2,000 into Bitcoin, but it fluctuates so much, dude.
Yeah.
Like I checked it one day, I was like, oh, it's up 1%. The next day it was down 6%. And I was like, damn. Like
that's so
huge.
I think it's volatile would be the term.
Yeah.
It's just like dangerous for you.
Yeah. I'm pretty risk adverse as well. Like
Yeah.
I don't really like to see my money just like go away, but I do like to spend it, which is a problem. But at least you like get something when you spend money.
That's true. Getting something out of it at least, you know.
Yeah.
You put in time for your money, so you want to get something out of it at least.
That's the thing. Yeah, you really do. Yeah,
put
you
in
kind of
time.
sell your time for money. But I mean, that's just kind of the society we live in. You know?
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot of things in this society in the world that push us to spend that money too. It's something I've noticed a lot in the last couple of years. Like every time I go sit down and, you know, relax at the end of the night, if I put on a stream a show or whatever, 9 times out of 10 during the ad break, they're asking me to purchase something.
Yeah. Or
Whether
like
it's-
you find an online service or something and it's just like, oh, you want to use this? That's $5 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, like they get you with the monthly stuff.
Yeah. I see no heartfelt advertisements. There's nothing that's making me, I don't know. It's nothing that's motivating me, really. I mean, I like to find my own motivation in life. I'm not waiting for the ads to motivate me. That's not what I'm saying. But I wish they would try to help people more instead of just ask for their money. That's all.
Yeah.
I see a lot of just marketing. It's marketing. Everything is marketing for consumerism.
Yeah.
And it is kind of where we are at in this country, but I know they want us to spend and spend and spend. Yeah.
And your spending kind of adjusts to what's in your pocket too. It's like if you have $1 million in your pocket, it's like you're not going to be living for, you know, $1,500 a month. You're going to be balling.
Yeah.
Like it's just, that's what it is.
Yes.
Like straight up.
When you
It's
have
just
it,
the nature of man.
You spend it. Exactly.
Yeah. Just spend it. So what's new with you? What's new in your life other than your daughter being sick, unfortunately?
Yeah. I think she's getting a little better, but in terms of me right now, I'm looking forward to like finding a new place to live. I've been dealing with a crappy landlord. That's like one of those things that I've heard a lot of the adults in my life explain to me, you know, especially like my mom's moved around a lot in her life. I know that. And she's dealt with some crappy landlords. In this area, they call them slumlords. You know, in New Bedford, they say these slumlords. That's what they are, because sometimes people just buy homes, rent them out, and then don't maintain them, don't take care of them.
Yeah.
And then they put the tenants through the ringer when the tenants are less versed on their rights or their laws or whatnot. Which I'm glad. I've done a lot of reading, and I went to school. I learned about laws, and I have books on laws. And I just try to protect myself because I know that my landlord she's there for money. I'm there to give her money, and she's just treated me unfairly, in my opinion. I don't know. I think fair is a kind of a whack word. I think she's treated me unjustly, you know, because I've been very just as a tenant. I pay my rent on time. I take care of my dog when I bring him outside. I don't leave crap on the ground. I clean up the hallway, like the common area outside of my apartment all the time.
And she's just like being a bitch about it?
Yeah, she's just being a bitch.
Oh, fuck that hoe.
Yeah, she's called me and like cussed me out over something silly. Like I brought recycling out a few weeks ago and the recycling was full. So I put my recycling beside the bin, and she like called me when I was working and like cussed me out. And I was like, this is weird. Like, you're my landlord. I don't really, I feel like a text would have done fine. I don't know. But that's something lame.
I feel like a landlord, like an ideal situation with your landlord is you don't even know they exist.
Yeah. We don't.
Unless like something happens that's out of the ordinary. But generally,
I agree.
You really shouldn't know that they're there. Kind of just sending money off to some like, you know, dark figure that's like, take
the funds. I wish I didn't have to communicate with her as much as I do, but that's something lame that I've been dealing with. I mean, something cool that I've been I've been doing is bringing my son to ride a quad. He's not even 3 years old, and
Oh, wow.
he's already hopping on a quad and like
Fuck yeah.
riding away. Kid is a beast. Oh man, my kid.
I know.
my
I like
kid's
him. Every time I see him, he's a character already.
Yeah, man. He gives me inspiration like every day. Yeah, a reason why.
That was
Like,
one of the
straight up, bro.
That was one of the questions I wrote down is like what like how like you have two children, so how
Yeah.
has that kind of changed your outlook, like as
Oh.
not only as a person but just like going from like I am just an individual to like okay, now I am responsible for a family. Like how has that changed you?
Oh, dude, innumerable ways. Like I couldn't even count, but for sure changed me for the better. I think when I was 21 years old, I found out I was going to be a father. I found out that my girlfriend at the time was pregnant with my son, and you know, to be honest, that's a really frightening thing. At the time, being so caught up in the job that I had at the time, I was already managing a kitchen at 21 years old.
Which is crazy young
Super
to be managing
young.
a kitchen. Like
Super young.
yeah, probably a little too young, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of responsibility for a 21-year-old.
Yeah. In hindsight, I totally believe I was too young for that position. But also blessed because it gave me a lot of experience. I got to learn a lot. I seen a lot of things from a lot of good chefs, a lot of bad things from bad people, you know, things I didn't want to do.
Mhm.
But in general, to like stick to the point of the question, like I was fucked up when I was 21, 22. Like I had been drinking so much, like I had been doing cocaine too much. I was hurting myself. And like I came to a point one day when this is just slightly after my son was born. I was already battling with the demons inside. Like, you gotta quit. You gotta stop doing this. You're gonna hurt yourself, or you're not gonna make it back home one night. And like, cause I walked to and from work when I was 21. Before I got a new vehicle, cause I had bought 21 years old. I bought a $32,000 Mercedes 2017 CLA 350. And then I crashed into somebody's front steps in a night of duress. But that's another story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally got back on my feet. Things were dangerous for me, you know, walking to and from home downtown 11 o'clock at night, and I'm getting inebriated in downtown spots, and then I'm walking home. You know, I could have been mugged or robbed or whatever. Anything could have happened to me, but you know, I think I draw it all back to one morning I woke up, you know, after working like 14 hours all day long. I just crashed at home. Like I went upstairs to my bedroom when my lovely grandparents were letting me stay with them at the time. But I woke up and I felt my heart just palpitating. Like it was just bouncing off my chest. And like, I was genuinely scared. I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. Like, what if I don't, what if I don't make it out of this right now?
Yeah.
And that right there was a moment I was like, I don't really remember what I even did last night. I don't remember how I got home. I don't know if somebody brought me home. I don't know if I walked home. I don't remember. My shoes and my clothes are at the bottom of the bed. My wallet's thankfully there. My phone's thankfully there. But I knew one thing. I only knew, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, if I continue to do this, I'm either going to ruin my life. My kid's not going to get to see me. I'm not going to be there for him. And that right there was a turning point. I knew I had to stop. I had to change myself. I had to change my life in order to better my children's life. And well, at the time, my child. I only had a son, but.
But what
Yeah.
a level of like maturity that takes, because how old were you, 21 at that time
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
So it's like for a 21-year-old to be like, I need to change my life right now.
Yeah.
Like most 21-year-olds, I feel like when they have a child, would not have that epiphany. They would just be like, I'm not going to let this child change my life. I'm going to just keep doing me. I'm a chef. Fuck it. Because that lifestyle is all too common for chefs. Like, that's the reality of the industry.
It is.
But yeah, that takes a super like high level of maturity to be like, all right, like I'm done with this. Like, I have more people depending on me.
Yeah, thanks.
So it sounds like it changed you for the better, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of like the root of being a father, like, you know, I've spoken to you in the past, like we worked with each other. Like, I don't have my father in my life, but I think that along with being a child and not having a father is one thing, because that hurts, being a child without a father. And I know that. I know a lot of people that haven't had their father or their mother for that. Just not having your parents there it's shitty. Those are your rocks. Like, you know, you want your parents to be there all the time.
Yeah, it's sure. Like half of the coin. It's nature and nurture. It's like you need to nurture. And if you're missing even one of your parents, it's like, well, now you're missing 25% of the cake. Like, it's hard. It's
harsh. And when I really doubled down on being a father, and I mean, my son was only a few months old when this epiphany occurred. I just knew I didn't want him to feel what I felt when I was a child. You know, when you go through that, you just want to be the person that you wish you had when you were without that nurture, you know. And it's been a battle for me to like fight the emotions, because I think emotions are like waves. They come over us and then just wash away. It's like water. That's how I like to deal with my emotions, you know, just let them flow. And you know, being a chef, working in this industry now, we work long hours in the industry. It's tough when I have to drop my son off at school in the morning and he's like, "No, Dad, I want to see you." And then I get in the car and I'm driving to work and I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see you too." Like, I think about him the whole ride to work, and I'm like, unfortunately, the way that our life is right now, I have to go to work, but at least I know that I love him and I want to be there for him, and I know I want to spend time with him, but I can't spend all day with my son because life requires us to be at work and pay bills, and you know, there's responsibilities as an adult, and I understand that, and
your son, I think, will appreciate that as he gets older, because maybe like now he's like, I don't see my dad a ton, and he might be sad about that, but in the future he'll be like, well, my dad supported me, and like that's what you're doing, really, and that's like the best gift you can give to your child, is like giving them better than what you had.
Yes, I totally agree. I've always wanted to give my son more and just be better than what I received as a child, you know, like that. When I wake up in the morning, man, like, and I see my son and I see my daughter, it's invigorating. Like, it's truly like a feeling of love, and it's just, I'm overwhelmed with the affection that I feel from my child. Like, the unconditional love is something that is, it's never, "Hey, Dad, like, you need to go get me some breakfast," or I want a snack, I want a juice, and I love you. It's, "I love you, Daddy." And it's just running up and hugging me and giving me a kiss on the arm, or like grabbing my leg. It's like, that is unmatched. I couldn't ask for anything else besides that. Like, the unconditional love is amazing, bro. Like, the kids do it for me. And I'm super grateful that I got to that point in acceptance in my life. Like, I accepted a couple years ago now, like, I'm a father. I'm put here to be here for these children, and I'm okay with that.
Hell yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. They're wonderful little souls, man. Like, I know you have a couple of cats, and like, I have a dog at home, and I'm sure you feel like, dude, they're part of your family, man.
Yeah.
Like they are family.
We got them and like brought them to the vet like first couple times. It was like
Yeah.
mad expensive, and I was like, damn, this is expensive, but I would give every penny for these little fucking cats. And I'm sure that when it's a child and it's your child, it's tenfold. Like it's just like I would literally do anything for this little bag of meat. Like literally, I know that's a weird thing to call a child, but it's like I would literally do anything for this child. Like
anything, dude. I would jump in front of a speeding train to save my kids, dude. At any moment, bro. I would give up my life for my children any day, because I know that they are going to do bigger and better things, you know, with their life. There's certain things that growing up, I can relate to, like being left home alone as a child at like 10 or 11 years old for like, oh, my mom would leave me at home when she was at work, you know, like my mom would go to work and leave me there because she was a single mother. And I would hop up on the counter and grab something out the cupboard and make something to eat on the stove. And like, when I think about those times when I was left home alone, like that made me so much stronger, you know, like that just made me so much more wise and adept to like take care of myself, you know.
Yeah, because
like,
you're 11 realizing like I need to be independent right now, and like I'm hungry, like I need to eat something.
Yeah, dude.
Most 11-year-olds these days are like drooling on themselves, like watching TikTok, and they're like,
"Mom,
get Uber Eats" or something like that. Like DoorDash.
Eat a pizza, mom. Yeah, dude. I like that question. That was a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Of course.
So you talked. I know you grew up in New Bedford. How would you say New Bedford like shaped you? Like
so, I was born in New Bedford, and then my parents moved. Like my mom and dad moved to Tampa, Florida. So I was in Tampa, Florida until I was about 3 years old with my parents. That's when they separated. My mom brought me back here with her, and then we went to Dartmouth. So we lived in Dartmouth when I was like 3 years old up until like 7 or 8. And I lived in Crossroads projects in Dartmouth. It's like it's actually a nice community. They have playgrounds and stuff, a lot of kids, a lot of families. I made a lot of good friends there. You know, I got some outdoors time in, and then we moved to New Bedford when I was like 8, 9 years old. And, you know, I would totally say, man, growing up in New Bedford and in the schools that I moved around in, I probably went to like 4 elementary schools. I went to 2 different middle schools. Then I finished off in New Bedford High School. But I would say growing up in New Bedford shaped me. Like, it just hardened me, like molded me into like, you know, if you take like some Play-Doh or something, you know, you leave it out on the counter and then it gets real hard. It's like, I feel like that's what New Bedford did to me, bro. Like
hardened you.
Yeah. It's just a melting pot. I also made a lot of good connections in New Bedford. Like, I think in this town, this town city area, like this whole tri-town area, Fairhaven, Mattapoisett, Cushionett, as you've seen, like going into the fall and the winter time, like it goes from like 70 to 25 degrees in like a week.
Yeah,
like the
that
weather,
was this week. It was 27 degrees this morning.
It's insane. And I think things like that like really affect people's mood around here. Like everybody's like on edge on the daily, and like I've gotten so used to that throughout my life. Like I believe that's how a lot of the people actually become in this area from staying here for so long. Like there's a lot of people that seem like really bipolar throughout their days or their weeks, like just working with people or observing like my family in general, like my grandparents and my aunts, my uncles, you know, some of my cousins, like a lot of bipolar personalities around here. And like, I mean, I kind of veered a little off the question, but my,
no, but I think that's valid because it does like, I mean, it's kind of like a New England kind of thing where the weather, we have 4 seasons and they're 4 very like well-defined seasons. Like we have a winter, a fall, summer, spring, and like it changes quickly and it's unpleasant. But I also think it like builds character. Like motherfuckers that live in California, like they're not like chipping ice off of their windshield at 7 in the morning because they got to go to work.
Yep.
And that's like hard. Like I've broken the chip things trying to get like ice off my car, and I'm like rushing. I'm like, I'm going to be fucking late right now because there's ice on my car. California, you just roll down the driveway in your Tesla and you're at work. Like
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
Builds character for sure. That's the East Coast hard motherfucker thing.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where it comes from, I think. It's just like the seasons.
I agree. I totally agree. That's something that we deal with since children. And like, I mean, I didn't really think about it obviously until like recently. Growing up, I don't think in general we analyze like that, you know, as kids. We're not like, oh, the weather's making me like crappy, but growing up, I observe all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, this weather's affecting my mood.
Yeah, 100%. Sure. And the seasonal depression too. It's like I don't have depression by any means. I've been depressed in my life, but like it really is like once the leaves come down, temperature starts dropping. It's just gray out there every day. The grass dies. It really is like I'm spending less time outside, and then your mood just slowly like it's pitch black at 4:10 p.m. And it's just like, okay, it's nighttime now, but it's still so early.
Yeah,
like
it's true.
I think that plays into it as well.
Absolutely. You know, like we have people that come into work sometimes. I hate talking about work, but just making a reference. Like, I don't know, a nighttime server comes into work the other night, and I see the back door swing open behind her, pitch black. I mean, it's 4:15.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm like, dude, what the heck? And they look at me, they're like, yeah, you see it? It's pitch black outside, and I'm clocking into work. I'm like, well, I mean, it's just that time, but...
Whereas in like windows are kind of scarce in kitchens too. I don't think people really realize that. But like in Sail Loft, like that window in the prep area, it's like in summer, I would use that as a reference. It's like, oh, it's dark outside? Okay, it's like almost 8 o'clock. Yeah. Or it's a little bit past 8. Like we're almost done with the night. But then winter rolls in, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm almost done with my shift. It's dark outside, and it's fucking 4 o'clock. And you're like, oh, I have 5-6 hours left. And it's horrible.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That's definitely hit as of recent. Oh, man. How you been doing, you know?
I've been good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just took these past... It was supposed to be just 1 month. I was supposed to just take October because my last day at Sail Loft was the 30th. So it was supposed to be a month where I was just like, I'm going to just chill, reconnect with my family, because when I graduated in 2022, it's like I kind of just went right to the black whale and just like worked for a year, moved to Sail Loft, worked for a year. Didn't really take any time off. So it was really nice to like reconnect with family, see some friends who live a little bit further that I just wouldn't normally see. It's like driving my fiance to work, just little things like that, just like spending time with people. And it's like, that was amazing. And then it kind of turned into 2 months because I was like, well, my mom ended up getting a reservation at the French Laundry for like early November. So I was like, okay, I'll go to that. Yeah. So that trip was amazing.
Amazing.
So yeah, we went to California, did that. And then it was like mid-November, and I was like, I need to like get a job because like I need to like pay rent. And that's kind of what the past couple of weeks has been, is just like figuring out what that's going to look like. I also really was like, I'm going to start a food truck, and started doing that, wrote up a business plan, showed it to my dad and my stepmom, who are very like business savvy.
Yeah. And
they both were kind of like, you need to just like scrap this and start over. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I didn't have any of the like the numbers, and like it was all like speculation. I think they said it was qualitative, not quantitative, which kind of rang true for me, because they were like, you need to know how much you need to sell every single day to not only pay your overhead but make a profit. Not just like, I'm gonna have a food truck and it's gonna be successful. Like,
that's very wise.
Yeah.
That's
and
wise.
So I was like, okay, cool. So that was like a 2-hour long conversation that we had, and they just gave me feedback. They weren't just like, this is terrible. Like, they gave me feedback. And
not to cut you off, but that's great that they like were able to give you feedback. Like, that's super.
My dad in particular is very good at that. Like, just being like, hey, this sucks. You need to do it again. Like, similarly, I sent him an agreement because I was going to try to do independent contracting for Served Well, like just help them like plug holes, like where they like, like Randy called out at the Black Whale, I'll just go like expedite for the night. Yeah. They haven't gotten back to me on that, allegedly. But they like, I also sent him my agreement on that, and he was like, I'm going to just write you a new one. This is just terrible. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, no, this is like just well, not, he didn't say terrible, but he was like, this is unusable for what you're trying to use it for. And I was like, okay, great, cool. Well, thank you. Like, it's constructive criticism, but yeah.
Hey, that's needed, man. Like I wish in the past there was times where like I don't have any like solid examples, but like if someone just tells you like yes all the time, I mean like what if you're wrong all those times? Like really far off the mark. Like I don't.
And usually the hardest part is it comes from someone who loves you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my mom or like my stepmother will just be like, yeah, dude, like move to Denmark, go crazy, bro. I'm like, okay, well, I can't just like do that. They're like blindly supportive, which sometimes is good. Like when I was like, I think I want to go to culinary school, I actually was like, maybe I'll work in a kitchen for a year and then I'll go. But my stepmom was like, no, you need to go now or you're never going to go. She was right. Like in retrospect, like I don't think I would have gone if I worked for a year because I would have been like, wow, this is like a lot of money. I've never made this much money. I probably never would have gone. And like sometimes blind support is needed, but I think it's more valuable to have somebody that's going to tell you you're wrong. And I always like, I tell Sayana that too, like even just cooking at home, like I'll cook dinner and I'll be like, what do you think? And I genuinely want her to be like, this blows, or like, this is awesome. Like I want her to like actually be like true.
Yeah.
Cause then it's like, I don't know. Like nobody's like, it's hard for yourself to like tell a little bit like how your food is sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah.
We're eating or seasoning food to our liking if we're cooking it.
Exactly.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. I had worked at, I don't want to talk about work at all really, but when I seasoned food in Fairhaven, everybody that came into that restaurant was old. I didn't put as much salt on the food. I couldn't. They would complain. Like, and I realized that all the time cooking. But then when I come into a place like the Sail Loft, it seems like they like flavor more. So I season more. I mean, it's just what it is. And like you said, I appreciate if somebody tells me that something is not right. Like, it doesn't even have to be food. Like, I don't know, if we're painting the room, you know, and then I don't know, if you and I, just a random example, if you wanted to paint this kitchen and you decided to paint this kitchen without consulting your wife, right? And you painted it like a different shade of white, and she came in and she was like, this is shitty. Like, you would want her to say that because you don't want her to just like, oh, maybe I like it. And then like one day she's like, actually, this is crappy. Like, I'd like to know right away. Like I want opinions, even if they're not what I want to hear. I still want to know.
Usually when Sana says something like that, like gives me constructive criticism, it's usually followed by like a few seconds of me being like denying it and being like, well, no, because, and then I'm like, wait a minute, no, he's probably right. Like but no, that especially in a spouse like that, being able to like tell me that I'm wrong is like very nice, because otherwise you're just an echo chamber. Like I would never want like a spouse or a fiance or a girlfriend that would just be like, yes, honey, like you're right all the time. You lead. And it's like, it's because then you're in an echo chamber and you're just like, I feel like then you start to question like, well, am I right? Like, I don't really know what I'm talking about with this. Like, I'm basing this on nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just basing this on like my thoughts, but that's like, like, you know, so I definitely value that for sure. And Sayana, she's great about that. She's actually here. She's upstairs still sleeping.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
No, you don't have to keep it down though. It's I told her we were doing this, so.
Yeah, sweet. No, that's.
Hell yeah. But I mean, other than that, like past 2 months really done, like October, I made myself do nothing. I was like, I'm going to just sit around. I'm going to shoot my bow. I'm going to just chill.
Yeah.
Like chill, see friends.
Hell yeah.
November, I was a little bit more like, okay, I need to start getting the food truck thing working. And then once I realized I'm scrapping the concept, scrapping the business plan, starting from zero, I was like, I need like a solid year to plan this if I'm actually going to execute it. And so then it was like, okay, well, I need to get a part-time job. And what else am I going to do with my time? And that kind of was like, okay, well, I've always wanted to do like food media. Like I've thought about it for a really long time, particularly this. Like I've been saying for years, like a long form chef-based podcast, I used to say cooking podcast, was something I wanted to do. And then one night I was literally laying in bed and I just got like this adrenaline rush and I was thinking about it and I was like I need to just like do this. And I wrote like 6 pages of just like brainstorming, like this is what I'm going to do. These are the first 20 I'm going to do to get comfortable on camera. And like, then this is a list of people I'm going to do, like just like watching podcasts, taking notes. And I was like, this, like, I'm excited about it. And that for me, that's everything. It's just like interest. And so like, in November, we shot the first like short video, which was like just us making a burrito, like starting pretty simple with food.
Cool.
But it was so fun to like film it and record. Like I actually enjoyed the process, writing the shot sheet, bringing it to my sister and Luke because my sister does video editing and then Luke does audio. So they're like a great like package for just like producing.
Is that her boyfriend or husband? Or?
Boyfriend.
Oh.
They live together. They live in Wareham.
Oh, nice. Not far.
Not far at all. It's like 20 minutes down Route 6. And it's great because like I recorded that and then sent it to the cloud to them. And then their computer's super slow. So I'm actually going over tomorrow. I bought them RAM, 64 gigs of RAM. And I was like, this is your payment for the first like 2 or 3 videos. And I'm going to install this because it's so slow. Like actually, like I was shooting it in 4K. So it's like, it was just not rendering. Like they couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
I wanted to post the first one December 5th, but it's like, it just isn't working. So I was like, okay, we'll update your computer and then we'll go again. Cause I don't really want to learn how to edit. If I have to, I will, but I don't really want to cause I'm going to be spending time at work and filming and like all this stuff.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. Yeah.
It's a lot. Filming is way more work than I thought. Like not, this is easy because we just put the camera up and we're talking like that's easy. But the like actually recording like a cooking video, I instantly gained so much respect. It took me like 4 to 6 hours, like just to make a fucking burrito.
Yeah.
Like it was so much effort, but really fun. And I'm just going to do that while I work and plan the food truck. That's really the plan moving forward.
Dope.
Which is
it's good
nice.
stuff, bro.
Thanks. And I did just get a job, which I'm happy about because I was definitely feeling the pressure a little bit of like, okay, rent is coming up in December. This is the like 3rd month I will pay rent without income. And like you just hemorrhage money like slowly, like if you're not working. So definitely feels good to like have a job again. And like, I mean, I'm not working yet. I'm starting the 18th, but I'm like.
Where are you going to work?
At Little Moss. So I'm still going to be in the same neighborhood. Yeah. I'll probably see you guys all the time.
That's dope. Did you feel like when you, so like you stopped working at the end of October, right?
September. Yeah, September 30th.
September, yeah. So do you feel like you definitely needed to like recharge? Like, like your energy levels, like just relax, you know, instead of just busting your ass all day for fucking 5 days a week, you know?
It took a solid 3 weeks for me to like the first week was me actively like trying to do stuff every day. And then I was like, no, I need to like chill the fuck out. Like it was hard switching from like every day, like just go to like, I'm just home. But I think that after the first month, I definitely was at a place where I was like, I'm ready to go back to work. Like I like to stay busy and I like to have something, I like structure. Like when there's no work, there's no structure. So like there was a lot of days where like Sayana would have work and I just like sit around and like do fucking nothing. And I'm like, you can only have so many of those days before you're like, what am I doing with my life?
I get that.
So I'm definitely excited to like have a schedule again and like start building my routine and just get back into the swing. But it definitely was nice to have some time and just like recharge, reset, like you said.
I understand that.
Yeah, this was the longest time I've been out of a kitchen since I was like, I'm going to cook professionally, which was 2021. So I decided and then I went right to the CIA. I haven't been out of a kitchen this long since then. So it's been like 3 years.
I know how you feel. I've been there, dude. It's like, I don't know. You can be honest, but like, I know when I took time off from the kitchen or like, I mean, there was a point where I quit, you know, like I was a sous chef. When I was like 22, I couldn't handle it and I quit. But then I've recharged. Like the day I quit, I went to the Martha's Vineyard. I spent a couple days on the island, you know what I mean? Like going to the beach every day. I'm like, I just need to like feel human again. Like, you know what I mean, man? Like we find ourselves in such a grind and a rut when you work, especially a salary job, dude. Like that is killer.
Yeah,
it is killer. And you just grind. And then like I was going to ask, like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but did you feel like you should have been doing stuff like when you were here, like off?
Yes.
Like there's stuff I should be doing.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I'm saying?
that is so, like, I cleaned the microwave, I cleaned the inside of my oven, I reorganized all the cabinets in here. This was in November. Because for a month, I was like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm going to force myself to just do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But this past month, particularly more recently, like in December, because I like really was getting antsy. My dad gave me a grill a couple months ago when I cooked for like a little event for a company he's starting.
Dope.
And part of my payment was he gave me his old grill, but it was like never been cleaned, rusted out, like super fucked. And I just like took a day last week and just like deep clean, like arm in the fucking grease trap, bare hand, like just going in, dude. Like, and it was nasty, but I like miss the cleaning, which sounds crazy,
it's
but like
flashbacks.
No, it actually is like I miss like cleaning ovens, scrubbing down. And even at Sail Loft, I still missed it because I felt like it's a place where you're kind of allowed to do less, like just in terms of cleaning. And I think that is like, was kind of like eating away at me a little bit for a long time there. I mean, a lot of things where I like probably didn't have the greatest first year as a sous chef. But it is what it is.
It builds
and
character.
Like, yeah, it is what it
builds
is, and
character.
I'm thankful for it. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a good year, and I thought it was cool that me and you got to work together as chefs. That was really cool because we met at the Black Whale as cooks, and you came like shortly after I did. Like I really just started there, and you pretty much came as soon as I like started to get a foothold, where I was like, okay, I'm kind of starting to know what I'm doing. Because before you came, it was me and Jose and Daniel. Yeah, these like young kids.
I remember that kid.
Yeah, slightly younger than me, but like these motherfuckers were not speaking English to me. No. They were not making it easy. Like they were like, "Sí or no, papi." I was like, dude, like help me out here, dude. Like just speaking full Spanish. Daniel's trying to cook and plate everything. I'm like, dude, I can plate for you. Like work with me. They made it really challenging, but they both left, and then you came, and it was like, I was like, okay, finally, like,
different.
Yeah, someone who knows what they're doing. So yeah, it was cool to like connect there and like get to know each other. And then I went to Sail Loft, and then again shortly after you came, and it was like we just like that was a really cool like thing to get to work together.
It felt great, bro. Honestly, like I probably would have hated working at the Sail Loft if I didn't work with you, because like at least I got to work with somebody that I appreciate you know, like not just like what you're doing at work, but like I appreciate you. Like I like working with you. Like thanks, not bro. It's not like
I like working with you too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. Bro.
It's always and I mean I say this all the time, but I feel like when you work together with somebody on the line in a really busy kitchen, you just like build like a camaraderie. Like it's like it really is like a brotherhood, like similar to the Army. Obviously, we're not fucking dodging bullets,
right?
But it really is like you're in the shits for hours, like just super busy, slammed, and you just have the people around you, and you're just constantly communicating. At the end of the night, everybody's like, "Woo, have a beer," and it's like it really like builds like a brotherhood. That's honestly what I miss the most is like just being in the kitchen. Like I miss like just hanging with the boys, like you know, right after service, like we're cleaning up and like. Yeah, I miss it. Like when you're out of a kitchen for a while, like you really are like I miss Jerome. Like I miss just like hanging out, like hearing Jerome talk shit about people. Like
good guy, funny dude, man. Like on the tip of like just people in the kitchen, you know, like missing that, like the vibe, the camaraderie, bro. Like I was just having a conversation with my girl last night because, I mean, I love talking about like this industry, or. I mean, not just this industry. I like having conversations with good people about life, bro. Like you're good people, and this is life we're in. Like,
facts.
People don't talk a lot about certain things. And what I'm harping on is like the industry of food service and hospitality. So, you know, we lost somebody that was. A team member. We lost Tina when we worked at the Sail Loft, right?
Yep.
Very unfortunate. You know, it's heartbreaking, bro. Like people can be good. People can have good in their soul, in their heart, but they have problems. And, you know, sometimes those problems eat you alive, bro.
Yeah.
Like, Tina wasn't even that old. Like,
no, she wasn't
at all. I think back to like my team members or my cooks at Carmine's. Like there was one person in particular. I mean, I don't even want to say his name, but he was maybe 25 years old, like my age now, when I was like 21 or 22, and we lost him a night after service. I relate to feelings that I'm sure that you've had inside of you, where like I had to go into the kitchen, grab him, and bring him outside and tell him like, hey man, you're clearly not straight. You're not sober right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to call you out, but I have to. You're grabbing knives in here. Like you're using a 600-degree oven that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I watched him on the camera. I knew that he was not right. So I had to tell him like, dude, you got to bounce. And, you know, that night he went to the parking lot actually at one of the restaurants, the Joe's Original parking lot. And he overdosed the same night I had to fire him, you know. That tore me up, man. Like,
and I can really relate to that because that is the exact thing that happened with Tina, except I didn't notice she was off. I mean, she was always off. Yeah. She was always like, you know, fucking feel bad about it. But we used to call her like a hobgoblin because she was like literally like foaming at the mouth sometimes, like being like, rah, like she'd corner you. Yeah. But all that aside, like the day that I fired her, like that was the day she died. Like that's, and that kind of leads me into one of the other questions I had written is like, what are some like invisible scars that you bear from this industry? Because I don't think people, like I think people think when someone from the outside thinks of the hospitality industry or cooks or chefs, they think of like Anthony Bourdain and they're like, oh yeah, chefs party hard. And they sacrifice a lot of their personal life for it and they see that part. But I don't think they really see the like that side where it's like someone you work with every day just like vanishes. Like, and it happened, like I've only been working in the industry for 2 years, 1 year at the Whale, 1 year at Sail Loft. And we lost someone Carlos. Both years. Yeah, Carlos and then Tina. And it's like, I don't think people realize, like I'll never forget when Yehudi came up and was like, hey, I just want to tell you like Carlos passed away today. And like, I literally like, you just go back to what you were doing, but like you're like, I'm plating muscle. I'll never forget. I was plating muscles literally with tears streaming down my face. And that was like 2 hours into a 10-hour shift. So then 8 hours of insane busy service where you're serving other people. All you're thinking about is like, dude, like my fucking brother is like dead. Like,
yeah. I mean, I just want to say like, rest in peace to Carlos, Tina, you know, the people that we've lost, bro, because they leave a mark on me. Yeah. They definitely do. Those invisible scars, like, they're on my heart, bro, because I have a huge heart. I love the people that I work with. Yeah, man. I love this industry because these people are like my family. Like
you spend so much time with them.
A lot of time. And I like to just pay homage to these people by just being kinder, you know, like every day. I know that during busy times or busy service hours in a kitchen, things get hectic. Things are said, things are, you know, maybe not the nicest way, but like we know that there's things to be done. And after the tickets stop printing, we can look at each other like real humans, respectful individuals and say, hey, good job.
Yeah. And that's like so important because if there's none of that, then it just like, it builds up and like the busy nights. That's like, I think that's where the drug abuse comes from in this industry that claim lives like Tina and Carlos is. It's like, for me, the hardest part, like adapting from like working a retail job to working in a kitchen is busy, like insanity time, like right at dinner service. And then you clean up and then you're home. And then when you're home, it's silent. It is quiet. And you can hear a pin drop. But like in your head, I'm still hearing the dish pit. I'm still hearing the vent. God, I hate the vent is just constant. Like pots and pans slamming, people throwing shit, like yelling. Like you hear that. And that's really like, that's what it is. Like that's where substance abuse comes from, is I think because people can't get away from that noise. And they're just like, that's obviously not for everybody. For me, like, that's why I like have edibles and stuff. It helps me just like slow my brain down a little bit. Like, all right, I need to just like chill. But like some people like go crazy with it, like on a different level.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this industry. There's a lot of, people work hard, they want to party harder. And like, I get it. I've been there. Like, I like to have fun. I've had a lot of fun. But on the same token, like, there's always a line. There's always a line. There's always a time to wrap it up. There's always a time to, call the Uber, get yourself home safe. Like, that's rational, to be rational, to be reasonable, to be wise. I mean, that's just how I've been ever since, like we talked about, since I like had my kid, I just snapped out of it.
Yeah, because it's not worth your life.
No.
Like, you don't want to be one of these stories, especially like you have people to leave behind. It's like, you can't. It's like that night when the day when we found out that Tina passed. So I mean, we were all drinking. We were all like sad drinking.
Yeah.
And like I called Sayana. I was like, yo, like I texted her. I was like, yo, I need you to pick me up. Like, I am not well.
It's smart.
And like, as soon as I got in the car, I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Like, if I tried to drive home that night, like, who knows what would have happened? Like,
exactly.
It's never like, just leave your car there. It's never worth like, I know we make a lot of drinking and driving jokes and they're hilarious. Like, get this man his keys. But like, all jokes aside, like, like,
it's not smart.
No, it's not.
I mean, I've had many a times where I just decided, hey, can I like stay here? You know what I mean? Like, can I just like go wait for an Uber outside, or I'm going to call a taxi? Like, just be wise about it. But at the end of the day, I also realize there's people that have real problems that are like they're not getting high or taking pills or drinking because of their job. They're doing it because they have other real issues, like whether it may be like, I don't know, everybody has different things, but like, I don't know, they had an abortion, they lost their child, they lost their mom, or they lost, I don't know, they lost money, they crashed their car, something like that. Everybody has different problems. And like, I've been well aware of that for a long time, especially because I've been doing the the kitchen managing experience for a few years now. Like, I'm going on this is going to be my 5th year. Next year, 2025 is going to be my 5th year.
Which is really crazy because you're 25.
Crazy. Like,
so it's like, you have 5 years of management experience in a kitchen and you're only 25, which is like, outlandish.
It's like, it doesn't compute, right?
Yeah. Most people, like, probably their first time managing a kitchen is probably around 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually. And I'm wicked grateful. I'm thankful to God, bro. Like, this is how I fed my family. You know what I mean? Like, this is how I've gotten a lot of things. And I don't think that it's easy to deal with people. I think that's the hardest part of managing. I think the interpersonal relationships, like, because I mean, you were managing, like, you understand, like, we have 12 people on staff. They're all totally different. Like, we're all from different walks of life. We all have different ages. We have different
language barriers.
Yeah, different languages. Like, there's
religions.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the board, man.
I hear people say that a lot. Like, one of the main rules in the kitchen is like, no politics, no religion.
No
and
politics.
It's because you have such a melting pot of people that are paying their bills in this kitchen. It's like, you don't need to bring in negative, not even negative, but just like contradicting thoughts into that space, because it can go really bad. And like, some people like will take it to the next level. Like, I don't forget who it was, but somebody was telling me that like this dude, like, they got into a little tiff, and then he came back and like came in with a gun and was just aiming it down the line.
Jesus.
And was just like, I'm gonna fucking blow your brains out. And it's like,
yeah, it's an explosive, no pun intended, topic. Like, those are explosive topics.
Yes,
like,
and people will lose their shit and fight for their opinions on those topics.
Yep.
So it's like, I mean, a lot of that, stays out of kitchens, but
I like to keep it out, dude. Seriously. Yeah.
How was it when the election was going on in the kitchen?
Dude, like, every other day I'm telling people, like, just please stop. Like, I don't want to hear this. Like, just cut it out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, well, then you have servers and front of house. They're talking about it too, and they're fueling the fire. And I'm like, look,
Yeah.
I respect you guys, love you guys, but like, go talk on the deck about that. You know, like,
Yeah, for real. Because it can really bring some
Yeah,
negative, like, it can ruin a day. Like, it can bring negative energy into the kitchen, and it's
Yeah.
like that's just what you're feeling the whole day.
if we got high morale, we don't need to talk about Trump.
Facts.
We don't need to talk about Biden. Like, let's keep the morale high.
And that morale thing is so critical too, because like one person complaining can literally bring an entire kitchen staff down for the whole day.
Yeah.
Like the whole day.
It's a huge factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like really getting back into like reading, because I put down my books for a couple months and I just picked them back up a couple weeks ago. That's why it's nice to speak with you. You're somebody else that I know reads. Like, you're just a knowledgeable person. Like, I think reading and being educated can be one of our strongest like weapons in life. Like, if you're not aware or educated, I mean, like, you're going into life blind.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for you. But I've been really just getting back into like what I love to do, and that's just be, there, just being there in the moment, being present. Like, whether I'm at home, I'm being awfully present with them. Like, I'm just there. I might even be like annoying to my son just because of how much I want to be with him. Like, I just want to be there, like want to play with him, and he'll be like, Dad, leave me alone. Like, all right then. I'm gonna go make something to eat. Or like, my daughter can't talk yet, but I'll just be holding her for hours, dude. Like, I'm just present. Or if I'm at work, like, I've been a lot more on the managing tip, like, since you left. Like, I had a little meeting with Will and Nick, like, because me and Nick got into a spit, like an altercation in the kitchen, like, not physically, but like,
Well, as one does.
swearing at each other,
Yeah.
But I'm a grown man, dude. Like, I have way too much shit going on in real life, like in my personal life, that at work,
It just can't be drama.
I'm not gonna do that at work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time for that. And we had conversation, and I said, look, dude, like, I felt more like a cook for most of the time I was managing at the Sail Loft, and I don't want to feel like that. So yeah, I've been doing like a lot of expediting, and I'm like, really, I do line checks every 2 hours, every single day. I'm checking every single item on the line. I'm going through every single station. I'm touching surfaces and in drawers, and I'm making sure that everything's clean. I'm going into the ovens at the end of the night, and I'm just like taking pride in like, I'm being uber present in the kitchen. Like you said, a lot of things got swept under the wayside. Like, the cleaning was kind of low at the Sail Loft, and like,
And on that topic, like at the Whale, like I was kind of like chosen, I think, to be a sous chef because I was the one that was scrubbing everything down and doing all these things that I learned in school and like just good practices.
Very good practice.
And my biggest regret from the past year, because I think there was a lot of positives, my biggest regret from the past year is that I let somebody else influence my quality standard, and I will never let that happen again. That was my biggest takeaway, was like, I let someone lower my quality standards because they didn't give a shit. And I'm not going to let that happen again.
Yeah.
So like, no matter what kitchen I'm in now, where I am, what I'm doing, it's like, no, this is the right way to do it. And I know that objectively. And it's like, you just can't tell me anything.
No, that's awesome, bro. Like, just stay on your own, like, direction.
Exactly.
You know what you're doing. You know it's correct.
Raise the standards.
Yeah, dude, raise the standards. Like, that's a great key into like something that happened to me just like 3 days ago. I julienned a bunch of onions. I got to caramelize onions because we're doing like a special with it, right? I start caramelizing the onions. I caramelize them low and slow. It's an aromatic. I know that if I cook them down in a pan with oil and salt, they're gonna cook down. You're gonna get a nice fawn on the pan if you have a medium heat at first, and then you drop it. You can deglaze the pan if you like, right? You get the fawn off your onions, maybe take them off the heat and let that fawn sit, put it into it. And that's how I did it. But my chef told me that the pan should be on a ripping high heat, and then I should throw the onions in while the pan's like smoking, and then drop the heat. And I'm like, well, that's not how I do it. I like to do it this way because I've been doing it this way for 5 years, and I've never got any caramelized onions sent back, or nobody's ever complained. They think they're delicious, and I do too. So I'd like to continue to do it this way. And that was like the first time I've ever like talked back to Chef, and he said, okay. He was like, okay, if they're good, then that's okay. And I was like,
that's good.
Thanks.
That's good that you're able to like speak up for yourself.
Like, yeah.
Because
like,
that's really what I was struggling with is like,
I know.
He was a
get
big,
that.
like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I would kind of be like, well, like, who am I to like get in his way? And that I think is a problem, is I didn't have the confidence to be like, hey man, like, we're doing it like this because that is the wrong way to do it. And that was my biggest regret, is I just didn't. And I said it to Andre, because when Andre was still there, I remember he was on me really hard when I first got there, because he thought I had managed before. He didn't know, like, they didn't tell him anything. Like, they didn't tell him, hey, this is this guy's first time being a sous chef. It's also a new kitchen for me. Like, the first month or two, I was fucking useless. Like, I was just learning how to be a fry cook. Because think about it, the way I never worked fry or salads or desserts. I was only on saute and grill. That's it. So I was learning the whole kitchen and all this stuff, and he was really hard on me. And I remember he took me in the walk-in one time. He was like, how are we going to get you to where you need to be? Like, how are we going to get you there? Because you're not there. And he was riding me super hard. And then I saw him do a creme brulee, and he sent it out, and it was like burnt, just like black. And I was like thinking about it for a second, and he had just chewed me out for doing something wrong. And I literally was like, I need to say something. Like, that is what it is. And I was like, hey, Andre, like, I can't believe you sent that creme brulee out. Like, that was just burnt, like objectively burnt. And he was like, no, it wasn't. And I was like, yes, it was. Like, it was burnt. I'll show you what it looked like. This is what it looked like. We burned another one. I did half golden brown. I did the other half burnt. I was like, this is what yours looked like. This is what it should look like. And I was like, I'm sorry. I literally said this to him. I was like, I'm sorry that I lack the confidence. Like, this isn't a you problem. Like, this is me lacking the confidence to say when things are wrong and that they can be better. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from my year there, was like speak up, like, say something, because your quality standard is all you have. Like, that's
100%.
it. And if you let someone else influence it, it's going to come across on the plate, and then the guest is going to realize it, and they're going to be like, well, this chicken piccata sucks. And it's like, well, yeah, because we've been dealing with this shit sauce, and that's just how it is. And we deep fry the chicken, and it's not what a chicken piccata is. I know you know that because you work in Italian. You've worked in Italian restaurants. Yeah. And it's like,
I know.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, my dad and my grandfather, when they both got chicken piccata, and they were like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, embarrassed. So yeah, it's like, no, like, I refuse to let people lower my standard. Never again. But speaking of books, you gave me this book.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not going to pretend like I've read the whole thing, because I haven't.
Oh, it's like,
it's a big book.
It's more of like a reference. Yeah, it's something you probably pick up throughout like different points in your time cooking, you know, like. For
sure. But I was flipping through it yesterday just to like talk to you about it a little bit, and this was really cool. So flavor equals taste plus mouthfeel plus aroma plus the X factor.
Exactly.
And taste, mouthfeel, aroma, those are all like, people know what those are. But so they define the X factor as what is perceived by other senses plus the heart, mind, and spirit. So how would you say that the X factor plays into food and perception of food on the plate?
So the way the X factor can play into the food that's on the plate is what you're asking me?
Yeah, or just factor. Like, how does the X factor contribute to like flavor? Because that's in the equation, it's going towards flavor. So how does like spirit, mind, and body, not just like taste, and like, so the X factor is like everything else, like nostalgia, food memories. Like, how important do you think that is compared to something like taste or aroma, or something that's a little bit more tangible?
Yeah. So I think that like it's equally as important in like the experience, the dining experience. For example, like I think that the Sail Loft executes their atmosphere very well. I think that Judy does a great job of decorating, and like They have candles every evening for dinner service. I think those are part of the X factor. And like when we take pride as chefs coming in a nice uniform, you have a you have a nice coat on, you have clean shoes, you have an apron that's clean over that. You're taking that respect and pride and putting it on yourself through your body and onto the plate. You're representing that kitchen and that whole team when you step out into the dining room with that uniform on, and like your hat's on, like your hair doesn't look too crazy, and you represent the whole kitchen. So when those people see you out there walking through the dining room, they say, wow, like this is a nice this is a nice restaurant. When a family, I was talking to my girl about this last night, if a family's coming out to the restaurant for their daughter's 18th birthday, for example, they come out, mother, father, the wife, daughter, son, they're coming to your restaurant with their time, with their loved ones, and with their hard-earned money. They're going to give us that stuff. So if they're going to give us that stuff, we have to give them something too, man.
Yeah.
Like we have to give them our respect, our love in that plate. We have to give them the X factor in the dining room. Like when they come in during the winter for this birthday celebration that they have, and they go sit in the back dining area, and they have Christmas bulbs up, or they have Christmas tree in the corner, and it smells like potpourri and cinnamon in the dining room. Like all that is it's like the magic. Yeah, that's where the magic. The
environment that you're in.
The environment. Yeah, that's part of the X factor, I believe. When we're in the kitchen, or when we're getting ready to just go into the kitchen, I think it starts in the morning. Like when you're being cleanly, you're washing up, you're getting yourself ready in the morning to go to work, and like you strap on your boots or your Berkeys, and you get your bootstraps tight. You're like, all right, dude, today I'm gonna respect myself, dude. Like I don't care what comes across me. Like I'm gonna make sure that today I represent me and I represent what I stand for, and I'm gonna go, I'm gonna get it. Like even if I don't want to tangent too much, but like I watched a few months back I've watched the show, name drop, The Bear, like great show. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times already. Like
I still haven't finished it. Dude, I'm like halfway through season 2. I need to finish it.
we were having a company meeting a couple days ago, and I referenced The Bear, and like everybody was like, dude, The Bear, like yeah, fuck yeah, The Bear, like but like it's actually like a great written show. I pulled a lot of things out of it. Like they won I could be wrong, but a couple of Emmy awards as an entire cast, because of how great they were. Everything they did on that show was like well thought out. You could just tell by watching it. But Maddie Matheson, big tattooed fella on the show, he's the executive producer. He's great. He's a funny guy, but they gave him the mic on stage when they accepted their award for, I think it was best cast or something along those lines. But Maddie went on stage and said, hey dude, like this show is like an ode. This is an ode to kitchens. He said, I love kitchens. I love what they stand for. I love the people in them. He said, we are broken. That's what he said. We as a whole, as a people, a community in the kitchen world, we're broken. Like, and that's not even saying like, oh, we're hurting, but like broken as in the sense of like not in a hole, because I know that all the people that I've worked with in the kitchens throughout the years have things going on in their lives. Like it's not easy to just like I've told you myself, go put my daughter down at daycare, or put my son down at daycare, hop in the car, speed 25 minutes to work, like it's downpouring. Our cooler went out during the middle of the night. Now we have to re-prep these things. The delivery driver ran out of gas 10 miles away, and our order's 2 hours late. What I'm saying? Like there's always something going on. But the beautiful part is that like, if we respect ourselves, we remain professionals, we get things done. And like there's not many other things like that I can think of where no matter what, dude, like, you know, like you said, the show must go on. Like,
Yeah.
wait, someone will literally die
Literally.
the night after a service, and then we are opening that kitchen the next fucking day.
Yeah,
like,
9 a.m. We're there.
We have 100 reservations. Like, I mean, obviously there's exceptions to the matter. Like, I know maybe if someone died in the kitchen, I'm not going to work the next day. Like, literally in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. Yeah.
I'm not going to go back to work the next day. But like, you know, on the premises, that's a little much. But we get things done regardless.
Regardless.
Like, regardless. The show must go on. Like, the amount of work that goes into a kitchen on a day-to-day basis is like crazy, dude. It's just so much. It's so much work, but yet the sense of pride that we feel in like the nostalgia that we feel when we're tasting a chicken parm a chicken parm with a spicy Diavolo sauce, and you're like, I remember the first time my mom made a chicken parm. Like, it just brings you back, like the taste and the smell. It's something beautiful, and it's something that like I never want to lose. Like, I love it. I love it, dude.
That's that kind of leads me into another question I had, which is, what's your happiest food memory as well? And then side by side with that, what is your like least favorite food memory? Like, what are those?
My best food memories probably got to be like, I know it's somber, but like it's more nostalgic for me at the same time. Like, not so like melancholy or sad, but like when we were growing up, I was my mom's only son for, you know, I was the only child for almost 12 years before my younger brother was born, whatever. But my mom would go bring us to like the food pantry, or like the church pantry, and we would always get like bags or boxes of food. And I remember being younger, and my mom would ask me like what I wanted. Like, she was the adult, but she would ask me when I was like 7 or 8, like, what do you want from the shelf? And then we would go home and like make something. We would like always make something tasty. Like, it didn't matter what we had, but like we would create something tasty with anything. And like, I think that's like core for me. Like, that's a core memory and like mark in my culinary career, even before I worked at all. But like, I still was cooking, like even as a child. And like,
it's kind of like where you found that love, like without even really knowing it. You're kind of just like feeling that, like, okay, like that love, which, you know, transfers into something else later.
Totally transfers right into like the later stages of life. Because then I remember those nostalgic moments when I'm making food for like my family, and like I want them to remember this when they're older. And like, it's just a kind of tradition thing. Like, I believe like in the industry, like, it starts on tradition. Like, that's how kitchens were originally, like before the culinary schools even were founded. Like, their cooking was passed on. It's like legit in text or word of mouth. Like, it was all passed on through love. It's from caring. Like, the earlier chefs wouldn't have passed on any of their knowledge if they didn't care. And I love it. I love that part.
And that's like this one here, the Escoffier book, is it's like, I mean, he was alive so long ago, and that is just like thousands of recipes in there that are like, he's like, because if you think about it, like cooks were slaves like way back. So then when like gastronomy kind of started coming into play, people like Carême and then Escoffier after, like, he wrote that book not because he was like, I need to write a book to make money, which I feel like today is like a lot of reason why people will write a book, is to monetize something, which is, you know, neither here nor there. Like, that's fine. Like, everybody's got to make a living. But like, books like that are like his entire life and career and all of his experience. He's like, I need to pass this on to future people, as many as possible, as well as I can do it. And I think that's like the essence of a chef. Like, when you really boil it down, no pun intended. But like, that's what it is like endless curiosity. Like, you want to learn and you want to improve, and then also giving it away.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I think people think that chefs are like They have their recipe book and they keep it closed and it's secret recipes and this is why I'm successful. But the most successful chefs, they give it all away. Like they're just like, hey, this is how I do this. Now you do it.
I agree. Dude.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
I think John George said it in an interview one time. He was like, we have hundreds of restaurants all over the world, like tons of cookbooks saying exactly how we do it, measured out to the gram. Literally, this is how we do it. No one's ever replicated this restaurant. And it's like, well, that's true. Like they're giving it away. But going back to what we were talking about earlier is like if you get the John George cookbook or something and you make something like their little their tuna noodles or something. I know they're famous for those. You can make it and you can enjoy it. And we can eat it in this room. But the environment, like that X factor, that's really what plays in. And that's what separates a 1-star restaurant from a 2-star restaurant, I think, is just environment.
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
Because I love the Four Horsemen. That's my favorite restaurant in Brooklyn. But it's really just a bar, couple tables, somewhat open kitchen, like very simple, intimate, comfortable.
Yeah.
Versus Oscar, where I did my externship, it's like as soon as you step in the door, like you know that you are in a different place. Like they are taking care of you. They're like, oh hi, how are you, Mr. Roy? Like take your coat, hang it up. Like the environment and the way that you're being treated is really what like separates like greatness from good restaurants. Yeah, I think. And then once you get into the 3-star restaurants, like I think those start on the outside. Like I was just at the French Laundry. That was my first time ever eating at a 3-star restaurant. But
wonderful.
Like just walking up to the building, like the flowers outside are just impeccable. Like everything about it, just the way that it is, like just sitting there as a building, you're like, like it's the environment that you're in. So I think, that plays a huge role.
Could you feel it like in the restaurant?
Yes.
You're like, this is 3-star.
Yeah.
Like this is
it's
it.
Electric. Yeah. You walk in, same thing. People are like, hello, like good to see you, like treating really nicely. They walk you to your table and it's sitting. I was like so jittery. I was like, this is like the people that are in this building, I want to be with them. I want to work with them. Like I want to be here right now. Like it's such a cool moment.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's epic.
Super sick.
Did you go out there with just your mom?
Yeah, just me and her.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah, we
Good
have
experience, huh?
Yeah, it was a great experience.
That's awesome.
On my mom's side, we have it's me and Abby. She's my only like whole sibling, and then Emma and Graham are my step siblings, and they all got like an individual trip with like their parent. And then this was like the last one where I was going with my mom. It was actually supposed to be a graduation present in 2022.
Oh yeah,
but super delayed because I was working. Like there was never time until now. But yeah, what a trip! Yeah. It was my first time really spending time in California too. I flew into California when we went to Oregon when I was a kid, but this was my first time like actually like spending time in California. I liked it. I liked it a lot. That's dope, bro. Yeah. San Francisco wasn't nearly as dirty as I thought it would be. I hear all the time that it's like a cesspool and disgusting, but like where we were like near Chinatown, like kind of where the taller buildings are. It just kind of felt like the financial district in Boston. Like it just felt like a city. Yeah. Like,
yeah, I love Boston. I mean,
yeah, Boston's cool.
It's cool. I did a lot of skateboarding in Boston, actually, like when I was a teenager, high school days.
Boston probably has a good skate scene. I feel like there's a lot of good spots in Boston.
It's pretty epic. I mean, like, just because a lot of Boston is not hilly. So, like, you can skate around and, like, just have fun, but...
And San Francisco is the opposite, though. Talk about fucking hills, dude. We took a right turn one time, and we were, like, on a side street, and it was like this. And we were turning, and I was like holding on. I was like, we might flip the car right now. Like, I genuinely thought we were going to roll down the hill. Like, it was terrifying. So many hills in that fucking city.
I would love to go to California soon. Snap. Maybe next year. I've been thinking about it.
Dude, it's great.
Just to go west, just to see the west. Like,
and the flight wasn't even bad. I thought it was going to be so much longer than it was. Like, getting there was like 6 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. And then getting back was like 5.5 because we had the wind with us. So it was like really crazy.
Do you know anybody out there?
I know a couple people. I didn't connect with anyone while we were out there. I was just hanging out with my mom.
No doubt.
I know this guy Aiden from culinary school. He used to be one of my roommates. He's super cool.
Cool.
Super into fishing. And then Savannah just moved out to California.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Do I know anybody else in California? No. I don't think so. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what would be a bad food memory, because that was your second question for me.
That one's a little harder because I feel
That's
like
tough.
food memories are so
They're
positive.
usually good for me. I'm like a
Yeah.
food person, but I don't know. I've had I've had quite a few oopsies with food, like splattered food on the 12-foot ceiling in a kitchen before. Dropped a 20-quart Cambro of pizza sauce downstairs before.
Yeah.
That sucked
That'll do
ass. All of those cleaning moments. One, I don't know. I've had dude, I've had bad oysters recently.
Really?
Dude, a couple months ago. I like stopped eating oysters a couple months ago
What?
because I was like cooking one night, a really busy night, and I finish my line time cleaning up, and then I go in the back and I see like 3 oysters open on a plate. They weren't on ice though. And I was just hungry. Like, when you're just hungry and you're like, oh, I know nobody's eating this. So I ate it. But as soon as the oyster hit my tongue, I felt the temperature and I was like already swallowing the oyster.
Instant regret.
Dude, I want to say like 10 minutes after I swallowed the oyster, I was behind the restaurant throwing up. Throwing up.
A bad oyster will do that.
Shitting and throwing up at the same time. I was like...
The red flag there was no ice.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're kind of like lobsters and crabs where it's like as soon as they die, like this is why there's like tanks and stuff. It's like as soon as they die, as soon as you shuck it and you release the muscle, like there's a timer. That's why they're served on ice, because if you let it sit for like honestly less than an hour, just at room temp, it's like it will go bad and you will get sick.
Bruh.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough where I've never had a bad oyster.
Oh.
But I've seen some. Like I've opened some and they were like blue. And it smelled like
Gross.
the inside of an old woman's rectum.
Oh.
Like just fucking disgusting, like literal shit smell.
Oh.
And you're like, okay, I'm not eating this.
That's
just
disgusting.
Fucking throw it right in the garbage. And then you have to take the trash out. It smells that strong. One oyster, it's like I have to take the trash out now because I can just smell it still.
Rancid.
Like, oh man, disgusting.
Ugh.
Any other cookbooks you've been into recently?
I mean, I still have the same books. I got a new book it's not published by like a chef in particular. I think it's through like a publishing company, but it's dope because it's like a smaller book. I think it's like the size of your flour, water, salt, yeast, which I've never seen that.
Great book.
Yeah?
If you're trying to get into bread making, that is the best jump off point, I'd say.
Been reading a little bit.
It's similar
about bread.
to Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. Not only
That's
in title,
one of my
but
favorite, yeah.
Also, like I feel like this book is just a lot of theory on like, hey, this is why we put acid in something. The first third of this book really is like, hey, like this is what autolysis is. Use time and temperature for flavor. Like he tells you why you're doing all these things and how to do them, and then you get into the recipes. It's not just like, hey, these are really good bread recipes. Good luck. It's
That's
like
sick.
It really is like I can't recommend that book enough. I'm getting it for my stepmom for Christmas.
Dope.
I was just talking to Meredith. You remember Meredith from the Black Whale? She was a server.
Yeah.
They were just here. Her and Bailey were just here like a couple days ago hanging out with Sayana, and we were just all talking. And she's like, oh, I want to start making bread. I was like, you have to
cool.
Like, go with this book.
I saw them at the Sail Loft recently. They dined there. That sounds like a great book. I mean, this book, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, like that changed my whole culinary mind. Like that book is amazing. I mean, I couldn't recommend it enough for anybody that even somebody that just likes to cook at home, like on a day-to-day basis. It will change the way that you choose to cook food. Like I bought new pans. I bought stainless steel after that, like I started cooking with like different oils after that, dude, just on a day-to-day. Like if I'm making breakfast, let's try coconut oil today, like let's do this today or whatever. Yeah, great.
That was one of 2 books involving the food industry that I read pre-culinary school. I read Letters to a Young Chef first by Daniel Boulud, and I think that's a great book. That prepares you for the industry a little. Like I knew what I was getting into because he kind of talks about the long hours. He's like, hey, on Saturday night when all your friends are hanging out, going to bars, you're going to be busting your ass. Like he kind of prepares you for the reality of the industry, not to deter people, but he's just like, this is what it is. I read that, which was great. And then I read Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat right before I went to culinary school. And the first class I took was fundamentals. And I really, like a lot of the things I was learning in class, I was like, this is just a rehash of this book because it really just teaches you how to balance your food, which I think is like one of the hardest things to do. Like people underestimate how hard it is to like cook something and then, okay, you cooked it, it's done. Now season it to where you're happy with it. And like, it's difficult, but that book really, even just the title, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, if you just know those 4 elements, like salt, fat, oil, but fat is also like mouthfeel as well.
Yeah.
Acid is the most important, I think, other than salt, because it like, oh, I had another question. What was it? Because it was with the Flavor Bible. It was they talk. I was looking at like the charts in that book where they're talking about different flavor pairings, and a concept that they have in there is weight and volume of food. And volume, I felt like I understood immediately, because it's like if you're like lemon is like, or not, lemon's a bad example, but like it was matsutake mushrooms. They were like, this is loud. This is a loud food because if it's in something, you will taste it. Kind of like soy sauce, like
or wasabi, or
right, exactly.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
like
super
I
loud.
think soy sauce, like if you have any type of soy sauce in something, it will pretty much taste not only like soy sauce, but it will also just taste Asian. Like it will taste like immediately. Like it's because it's so ingrained in the culture.
Yeah.
And that's a loud flavor because it's just in there. But the weight, excuse my voice crack, but the weight of food, I didn't really understand. I had to read that passage, and they were talking about how it's kind of like a more prominent concept in wine, like mouthfeel and body, just kind of how it sits in your mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you have, like if you eat an oyster and it's a particularly fatty oyster, it leaves like a coating in your mouth almost, like kind of like buttery.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. Like I think that it's cool that they're not just like, hey, these go well together. They're also like, this is a loud thing that you are pairing with something that is soft, but together they are like, they play well together. I think that's the really coolest part about that book. It's just like how they kind of talk about the pairings and everything. It's not just, it's more, it's very similar to like Wine Wise, which is a book.
Wine Wise?
Yeah, it's the Culinary Institute's wine textbook. And they talk a lot about pairing food with wine. Yep. Which is really difficult.
That was, so I don't want to cut your tangent.
No, go for it.
Karen Page and Andrew Dornenberg wrote this together. And I mean, they won a James Beard Award for this book. The first year it was published. And then they released their second book together, and it's What to Drink with What You Eat.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
That's a great tangent to the entire book of what you're saying. So like the pairing aspect, it's huge. Like this book, I mean, not this one. I've purchased like 4 of these already, like as gifts for chefs. And so like I went through this book pretty much every day for an entire year. And because I was in charge of specials at Carmine's. So I did weekly specials. And I would do my research at the beginning of the week, figure out like a main veg or a main protein that I want. And I would just write that down in my notebook. So I would be like pizza with beef or pizza with butternut for the fall or something. I don't know. And I would just pick one thing, and then I would go into my book and I would be like, all right, let's see what I can do with this. Or maybe that won't work. Let me try something else. And then I would just go through pairings of flavors or, the seasonal elements to it. And I would just try to pick it out and pick it apart. And that was my favorite part. Like, that's why I don't want to say, I don't love my job right now, because I do. I love what I do. I just wish I could create more. Like,
yeah, I think that's the hardest
lacking.
part with restaurants, like the type of restaurant that we were working in together is, I mean, it's one guy setting the menus, which makes sense at a corporate level, but like, you're right. There's a lack of creativity. And
definitely,
for a chef, I feel like that's really the fun part of the job, is like getting to make the specials. And I think that like you, Nick, and Ethan, and when I was there, like the 4 of us could have come up with weekly specials and made them great. But that's just not how the restaurant functions, which I think is just like inherently a flaw. Again, they're kind of corporate, so I get it. But I do think that giving your chefs that are there and busting their ass, giving them an opportunity to express themselves, like that's everything.
It's huge. It's huge.
Like that's everything to me. Like I remember when I was like, I'm going to be a cook. I want to do, or I'm going to be a chef. Like that's what I want to do. My goal, like, I mean, naively at the beginning was like, I want to be a chef. It's like, okay, well, I've been a chef now. So great. Check the box. But the goal for me is not like money or like even just like having a restaurant and being successful. It's like creativity. If I can get to the point where I can express myself with food on a plate and express memories to people and share them with people and take care of them simultaneously, that's everything. I feel like that is like why I love Thomas Keller so much, is because he is like the difference between somebody who's doing this for like to pay their bills and then somebody who's doing this like as a passion and they dedicate their life to it is knowing that you are taking care of people.
Mm-hmm.
And like you every single time, even if you're doing the same thing 1,000 times, like you are taking care of someone. 100%. It's a lot more obvious in Michelin starred restaurants because it's just obvious. You're taking their coat at the door. You're pulling the chair out for them. Like you're literally taking care of them. It's expensive. They're there for their birthday or their anniversary or something.
Oh, yeah.
You need to make that night special for them. It's a little bit less obvious when it's like, oh, we're just out for dinner. But at the same time, like even if they're just going out to lunch, it's like that they're spending money. That's a special meal for them. Like how often do they go out to lunch?
Yep.
And like you better fucking cook that burger nicely because they're paying for it. And that's what it is. Like that's what separates like people who are passionate and people who aren't, I think, is just like knowing that you are taking care of people. Like
absolutely.
In a very fundamental sense, because everybody needs to eat. Like at the end of the day, everybody's got to eat 3 times a day.
Everybody's got to eat.
It's so common, but like our job is to like create novelty a little bit, like make it special for people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think this being a cook, being a chef, being able to serve people food is it's always going to be needed in the world. People need to eat.
They'll try to replace us with robots,
yeah,
but like
they can try. But...
yeah, robot can probably follow a recipe, but it's not. I think there will always, even moving into this time of AI and all this crazy shit, I think there will always be people who want to go to a restaurant and eat food. Yeah. As long as we are biological beings, which maybe we'll be fucking cyborgs at some point, so we won't need it. Yeah, you know. But for the foreseeable future, I think people will always want to go have a nice meal. Yeah. And that's when I'm at my happiest, is like just...
Me too, bro.
Yeah. Because especially when you're in the industry, you appreciate it so much more.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're sitting down, you have a really good meal, like spending time with people. It's like, I will pay so much money for a good meal and not care about it because it's like, that is just something I'll remember. Yeah. Like, and it just makes me happy.
To enjoy is, you know, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to enjoy yourself.
Facts.
You slow yourself down.
Yeah.
You know? I love that.
So let's, one last question. So why do you cook?
Oh, good question.
We'll wrap it up with that one.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, obviously we have many reasons, but like to the core, like I cook because, like I said earlier, I don't want to like say that. I don't want to say the same thing, but I want to kind of echo what I said earlier on the fact that like I've always looked at cooking as a survival skill. And like it's something that I started doing when I was really young. I continued to do it obviously because I needed to eat. It was a survival need for me. I needed to eat. And like maybe not everybody looks at it like that. We all have our different point of views and our experiences throughout our lives that, you know, shape them. But like I said, like I used to be left home alone a lot because I had a single parent of my mother, and she worked like 2 or 3 jobs sometimes. Like I would see my mom when she came home from work going to her second job. And then like sometimes she'd come home and I'd be at my grandmother's house. She'd be going to a third job at night and I'd sleep there. And those are things that I remember. And like my grandparents would teach me how to cook when I was at their house. And like, I mean, I love that. I love learning what they cooked or ate in Portugal, you know, like my grandmother's kale soup, and my grandmother shows me how she boils chestnuts to cook them and stuff like that. Like those are things that they're priceless, dude. Like that's why I cook. I cook because it's something that it just makes me feel good, man. Like it makes me feel like myself. Like I know that I was put on this earth to like, I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but like I was put on this earth to like use my hands, bro. Like I use my hands a lot. Every single day, bro. Like it's funny actually, tangent. When I got arrested, I was in the processing center of the New Bedford Police Department for almost 2 hours because my fingerprints were so burnt from cooking in the kitchen for so long, bro.
Wild.
Dude,
they couldn't process your fingerprints
because they use a digital scanner in the. I guess that's just what they use now. But I recall being in that police station, like one finger after another, and he's just like, dude, like
they're like, this dude is a fucking spy.
They were like, what is wrong with your hands? They're like, we can't figure out where your fingerprints are, like legit. And I'm like, well, I am a chef. Like I cook every single day. And they're like, dude, why didn't you say that? And I'm like,
instantly,
you didn't ask. Like, first of all, you're arresting. Like I'm in handcuffs. Like, but whatever. They finally did use ink and they got my fingerprints with that. But like for real, dude. I use my hands since I was a child to like nourish myself. And that's something that like made a joke earlier about like nowadays there's a lot of Uber Eats and like DoorDash. Like people rely on that stuff. Like people rely on quick processed food, things that contain very little to no nutrients. Like it's all garbo. Like if you don't know how... I'm very proud of the fact that like if I was to, I mean, God forbid the world ends tomorrow and like there's no more Uber Eats and no more DoorDash, like I could create food for me and my family, and we would be prepared. We could cook food as long as I could find the resources to do it. And like it bothers me and it kind of scares me that like a lot of people don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a life skill. It's not just like if you do it professionally, it's one thing, but like it really is a life skill. Like just at least know how to like cook pasta properly or you know, cook a piece of chicken or a piece of fish. It's
cook
like
green vegetables. Like
legit. Like just be able to nourish yourself and the people around you. Like I think that's a good that's a good baseline.
Hell yeah. I love food. I love to eat. I love to cook it. It makes me happy. It gives me a little tingle. I get warm in my heart, bro. Like, hell yeah. I love this shit. It's a good feeling, bro.
You did say something in there with like all the food being processed. I wrote a couple questions down about like the food system and everything, but what I really want to know is like, what do you think of? I mean, even if you're not like up on it, because I'm honestly not that up on it either. But like, what do you think of someone like RFK being put in the position to make decisions for the food system? Because personally, like. Just like taking this one thing as an example, like making Coca-Cola use cane sugar as opposed to high fructose corn syrup. Just looking at that as a standalone example, if it's more of that and he's kind of going after CAFOs and the FDA for doing things that are like unsavory for people, because high fructose corn syrup is poison. Like, I mean, sugar is poison. Like sugar's not good for people, but it's better to have something not processed than to have something that is hyper processed. So I think that hopefully it's a step in the right direction because the food system is just like, it's actually scary when you really think about it. I remember taking food systems in school and actually having to like I was alone in my room at night after like class and literally just being like, I need to really consider like, do I want to be a part of this? Because when you're a chef and you're a cook, food purveyor, food producer, no matter what, you're a part of this giant $1 trillion industry of feeding people at a global scale. It's real, dude. Yeah, like how do you... Not how, but what do you think our responsibility is as individual chefs to kind of improve the food system, which is really kind of hard to think about. But what do you think?
No doubt. I think it's really knowledge based. Like you and I, like you said, you're not so up on it, but I don't feel like I am either. But I've educated myself enough to be aware, and like. The awareness is key because, dude, there's plenty of people I can guarantee you that have no idea what we would be talking about if we mentioned high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
They don't
Or
even
even
know
like
what it is.
they don't even think about the food. Like they don't
No.
like they don't even think about the food system. They're like they go to Stop and Shop or Shaw's or Market Basket. No hate
No
on them
shade.
because I shop at Market Basket for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like that's just where food is from. But people don't actually think about like how did this filet get here? How did this chicken breast on this styrofoam package get here to this place for me to buy it for $4?
Mm-hmm.
And it's dark when
It's
you
dark.
like pull
It
back
is.
the veil a little bit.
I've done a lot of reading. There's a documentary I stumbled upon. I was tired, but I saw a few things that were alarming, and like I think as professionals or people that are up on this knowledge, like I feel like it's our responsibility to help teach other people. You know, like it's if people don't know, at least like give them a few words of hey, like maybe you shouldn't grab that off the shelf. Like maybe you should just grab like the whole grain, the one that's less processed. Like,
or even
less...
like meat to me is the worst one
it
because
is.
the meat industry is just like insanity. So I think a big thing is for people to start going to butcher shops and like ask your butcher where this is from. Like,
That's a great
if
idea.
you can figure out where the animal is from that you are getting, or even the vegetable, like it's not just meat. If you can figure out where that product is from and you can source it, it's probably better for you than if you're buying it off of a stack of hundreds of carrots at Stop and Shop or,
Undoubtedly,
Yeah.
there's too much hormone and artificial product put into the food that we consume, and it's
Yeah.
scary. Like I'm well aware that I don't even know if you've heard things like this, but there's certain people like the Gates family. They've purchased somewhere around like 70% of the farms in this entire country.
Yeah.
That's kind of alarming to me. Like,
Especially when you look at Bill Gates.
why does one person own all that?
He's like made of dough.
Yeah.
Like he's not. This is why I think and that's a good example because I think RFK is good for leading our food system. Like look at him, he's fucking in his 70s. He looks good.
Healthy, strong. Yeah.
We want healthy people to lead something like that, not people who are not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like, it's just something that, especially being a father, like I've been raising my small children now. I think about their future. Like I think about what they're going to deal with. Like what are the problems in this country going to be when you're 12, when you're 18,
Yeah.
like we could have no idea, but like, I just want to make sure that I'm teaching them things that will help them survive straight up. Like, and just give them knowledge. Like as my son's getting older, like this is sugar. This will rot your teeth.
Yeah.
Like this will fuck you up. Like if
rot
you
your
don't
teeth,
eat it
give you
in
cancer.
moderation.
Yeah,
like
it's.
I was.
That's the thing. It's not like don't eat sugar, but it's like, well, don't eat a lot of sugar every day. That's really the issue.
I think when I was a child, I got like a dozen cavities and like I lost all my teeth. I had to go to the dentist and get all of them removed and stuff, dude. And like, I don't know. I spent a lot of time like when I had full braces on my top and my bottom teeth after I had like massive dental surgery, and I had the braces on my top and bottom teeth until like 5 years, dude. Like, and that I mean, like, I guess I kind of like had a little resentment towards like my mom for allowing me to like give me those things. Like,
Yeah.
you were in charge of what I ate. Like, you were my parent. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't have to shovel Skittles down. Like,
Yeah.
that's garbage.
Yeah, because when you're 5, you're eating the Skittles.
Yeah,
like
I'm
you're
eating a
no
whole
question.
bag of Skittles,
no
like-
questions asked. You're eating the Skittles.
Yeah, and nowadays, like, I'm an adult, like, dude, I don't eat that stuff. Like, I don't. Now and again, like, hey, maybe I smoked a joint at night and I like ate an M&M or two, but like that's enough to satiate me.
It's crazy how sick, if you really don't eat like a lot of sugar, if you do eat like a couple M&Ms or a couple Skittles, it's crazy how it sits in your stomach. You're like, wow.
Bro,
because it's an inflammatory. That's what people don't realize is sugar is an inflammatory. So you eat it and you swell up and you get bloated, and that causes cancer. Inflammation causes cancer. So by
natural
due process, is like sugar really does cause cancer. And it's scary when you think about it like that. But
It's
I think
scary.
people need to think about it like that, because otherwise you're going to shovel Skittles down your kid's throat, and then they're just going to be a ball of diabetes by the time they're 18. And
they're going to be stuck.
Yeah,
going to be stuck. That's a great point, though. We need to be aware as a people, like what we're feeding our children, what we're feeding ourselves. It's a large topic for concern that, like, I feel a lot of people just don't care about. But hey, I'm glad that we speak about it, because it's something I was just telling my girl a couple nights ago. Like, information is huge on certain topics, especially topics like the food system in general. Because if you're spreading ideas, they can only blossom. Like, that idea will enter somebody else's brain, and they have different thoughts. Their their mind works differently, and they can disseminate this information to other people who think differently as well. And maybe they have other outlets. Maybe they can think of a better way to send this information out to others. Like, I like to talk about these things because I don't think they get talked about a lot. You know, I have conversations with my girl all the time about food, and like sometimes she seems annoyed, you know, when I'm talking about the food system. I've spoken to her about it last month after I watched something.
It's dark, so people don't really want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like the scariest part. Is people are like, I just want to eat my fucking chicken, man. Like, I don't want to know. But it's like, it's good to know a little bit. I mean, that's really why I bought a bow to begin with. It's like, I like archery and I like shooting.
Yeah.
But the goal is like, I need to be able to go get meat.
Yeah.
Like, meat that I know has never been in a farm, like in a factory.
Fuck yeah.
Like, that's my ultimate goal, is like, can I just fill a chest freezer with enough meat to sustain us? Like, I mean, I haven't gone on a hunt yet, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
Is like,
you will. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. You want to wrap this up?
Sure.
Awesome, bro. Yeah. Thanks for being the first one.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I mean,
I'm honored.
Yeah, I mean, you're my fucking boy, bro.
Yeah,
you fucking been through
you're
it.
my guy, bro.
But yeah, I mean, the first 15 or 20 is just going to be like getting comfortable doing it. But honestly, like, this is...
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's no pressure.
If you ever, want to...
We'll do it again.
Do it again.
Fuck yeah.
That's a great time, bro.
Cut.
This is a cool mic.